listening to the Leadership Woman podcast with me, Jill Saville. And it's my great pleasure today to introduce somebody to the Leadership Woman podcast. His name is Jawid Modasir, and he is the founder and manager of Bomyan Money Transfer. And you will hear in his story about where we met, how you came to Luxembourg, and it's going to be a fascinating story. I can't wait to hear it. And like all of these podcasts, I like to begin with where you were born and hear your story. So where were you born, Jawid?
I was born in a very small village in the center of Afghanistan, in a farmer family. I and my sister at the same age. So we were the first generation, the first kids that we started learning, and all my brothers, they were working, and my sisters.
So you were in a farming community and you began to get an education, whereas your brothers and sisters were working. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Tell me a bit more about your education.
So I've started my school at that village in the Ghazni. There was no higher school, like a high school in the village, so I need to travel to the Kabul. I did my studies at high school at Kabul, 2 years of university at Kabul, and then last year I couldn't finish, and I had to leave Afghanistan because some dangers that I was facing too made some obligation that I have to leave. But the point that I was never thinking about leaving Afghanistan, or at least living in some countries far away from Afghanistan, to like Europe. I was always dreaming to be someone and to work in my country for my people. But things happened that I couldn't achieve that. It was so dangerous to be there.
And I think that's a good point for people to hear, because many times when we see refugees, we see people coming, we assume that they want to come over to here because they see it as being better. But you, in fact, you loved your country and you wanted to stay there.
Exactly. Yeah. I had the chance like several times to travel in Europe. So I had some family that they told to my father that we can't do this, and I said strongly no. I would stay in my country and I will work and fight for being someone in my country, to be known. And I've tried hard to make an identity for me there, and it was not easy to leave all things that I have done in my country, the studies, the networks, my family. So I'd love to live there, but it was not possible anymore.
No. And you had a girlfriend while you were there?
Yes. I had a girlfriend for several years there, and at the time that I decided to leave Afghanistan, and it's not possible to live there anymore. So it was not easy to leave everything and her behind me. And I've promised her that wherever I go, wherever I settle and I stay to live, I won't leave you behind me. I never do that. And so as she knew me very well, and she accepted, okay, I'm gonna wait for you. And so it took me for like almost 2 years from Afghanistan and getting the status in Luxembourg. So as soon as I got the status, I planned before that as soon as I get the status, I'm gonna travel and marry her. So I did marry after 20 days after my getting status. I married her
in Islamabad.
Yes, in Islamabad, Pakistan. And happily now she's with me here in Luxembourg.
So you married her, and how long after you married did you bring her to Luxembourg?
After marriage, it took like 3 weeks. Everything was quite quick.
And this is such a positive story. When we see immigration systems in other countries, like the UK not being so welcoming, this is such a positive story and reflects well on Luxembourg, I think. But
Yes.
of course, that's my view. I'm not a refugee. What's your view of coming to Luxembourg?
The Luxembourg, I loved actually the society and the system that they were always supporting refugees whenever I was asking for like something that I need to learn this, and can government do the sponsorship, and it was always yes. And for family reunification, it's very, very good.
Family reunification, yeah, it's so important.
Yes.
So while you were waiting for your status then, how much money did you get?
We were getting only 25 euros per month.
25?
Yes, 25 euros per month. And
yes.
yes.
How did you survive on that?
As the government were giving the food, and every 6 months they were giving 50 euros for clothes.
50 euros for clothes?
Yes.
Every 6 months?
Yeah, every 6 months. With that 25 euros per month, I was not able to buy a good shoes. And then we were going to buy a cheap shoes, and it was, in 20 days, it was not anymore a good shoe. So
no.
yeah, it was not easy at the moment. Yeah, I hope now if some days that the government would change the idea to help a little bit more, it would be so great. It is not for refugees. We are talking about humans. So yeah, at least humans in the first world class country.
So let's go back, if I may, to the situation in Afghanistan getting particularly bad for you.
Yeah.
And deciding you had to leave. What happened then?
So when I was studying at the university and reading books and looking to the society, everything was not matching on what we believed. So my beliefs changed a little bit, and I started to share this with friends. I thought it would be okay because Afghanistan was quite open at that time, but it was not. I was wrong. So I had to leave. And then when I decided to leave, it was not easy that the travel, because I had no visas to come here. I had to come like hundreds or thousands of refugees, like by walking and running, taking bus, like without any ticket. So I came to Iran like really tough travel, because we had to run for nights, 7-10 nights. We were just running and sleeping all day at the very hot sun somewhere.
In the hot sun.
Yeah. So and then we arrived to Iran, then to Turkey. It was not easy also between the Iran and Turkey, very bad mountains. I was seeing like kids and women that they are just crying and also running. So it was not easy by physically and mentally, yes. And the good point, actually, I want to share this. When I arrived to Greece, Oh my God. Then there was 30 to 40 European, American, even from Australia, the volunteers that they were welcoming refugees, and the hospitality. I've never experienced that hospitality and welcome in my home. Never. And I was so emotional. Wow, that like we are not coming legally to these countries, to this society. And in my countries, not everyone is talking good about Western society. And me and many of my friends were cried, and we couldn't stop to. And there were the volunteers. They hugged us and welcomed, and they immediately they bring shoes as our shoes were wet. I will never forget that moment. And from my very first minutes of entering to the Western societies, to the Europe, I had such an brilliant memory and experience. I'm very thankful to this great society, to these great people, very, very good people.
Yes. And that,
Yeah.
well, certainly it's not reported in the media. And of course, the volunteers do tend to be welcoming people, don't they? So what happened in Greece then?
Yes, in Greece, we had to register as a refugee. They gave us a paper and easily travel to the another countries of Europe. It was valid for 30 days. We were just like 2 days in Greece, and then we have left many refugees to the Macedonia, and then so we have walked many countries like Serbia, Slovakia, Slovenia, and Austria, Germany, and finally Luxembourg.
So you said walk there. You were always walking.
Yes, we were mostly we were walking, and then there was some volunteers that they by the cars. Okay, I'm going like 3 kilometers. We can drop you like in 3 kilometers. Wow, thank you. So and sometimes trains they said, okay, if you don't have tickets, if you're a refugee, okay, no problem, just get in. It was at the same time hard, but very good experience with the European society.
You see the kindness of strangers, don't you, which can be unexpected.
Exactly, that's the word.
So you kept traveling, you kept walking through all of these countries.
Yeah.
Were you aiming for Luxembourg?
Actually not. I've heard about Luxembourg. I was studying about many countries in Afghanistan. So from Afghanistan, the goal was to be in Sweden. And then when I arrived to Greece and did some research that and in Sweden there is many numbers of refugees, so I thought I won't have a chance there. And then I thought, okay, I need to go to somewhere that there is not a very high number. So there I have the chance to get the status very quickly. I find Luxembourg, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna go to this country.
So you chose Luxembourg because you didn't think many other people would be going there?
Yes, it is not very known among the refugees.
Well, to be honest, it wasn't very known. I'd only heard of Luxembourg because of Luxembourg radio when I was growing up. It's very small. You arrived in Luxembourg. What happened then?
Always good memories from this trip and this society. But the first day that we have arrived there, refugees had to go to the immigration and do the fingerprints. That we don't have any criminal record in the trip in the another countries of European countries.
Mm-hmm.
We did the fingerprints, and then the refugee center, they welcomed us. Okay, now you're legal in Luxembourg. Then when I arrived there, I thought, okay, like many refugees, I don't say like all, but many, they were complaining It's completely different society. And then I decided, okay, I can be the same, or I have to find a way. I have to solution. And then,
So if I can just clarify, you were with other refugees who were complaining, they were criticizing the system, but you decided you weren't going to join them. You weren't going to be like that. So what did you do?
I was searching that always in the Google, Facebook, everywhere, that where are the communities in Luxembourg? How do they integrate? How do they find themselves? I've met a Luxembourgish friend, which is a good friend now. In the park, they were playing volleyball, and then I engaged. I thought, okay, this is what I can do. And I said that, hello, can I join your game? And they said yes. We played volleyball, and then a friendship made. And then the man, the good friend, said, okay, if you want to join the community, there is an application called Meetup. I got there, and then I have found the Mastermind classes from you, Jill. It was exactly the thing that I wanted, that I had to learn something. I found that it's not free, and I didn't have any money. I was hesitating. Should I write that I don't have money, but I really like to join your classes? Finally, I said yes, I have to. If she accepts, then I gain knowledge. If not, then nothing will cost. I've wrote you, and very happily, and I'm so grateful that you accepted and said yes to me. I've learned so many things from your classes, your sessions. And then it started. Yes, I started to be engaged in many places, like volunteering to help refugees and to be with the local people. Then a family in Luxembourg, they welcomed me to live with them, while I started to be with people, not just complaining.
If I can just stop you there and comment, because I do remember what I was running mastermind groups on John Maxwell's ideas of leadership. And of course, his ideas are that we are here to serve people, to develop other people. And I think we went through his 21 laws. And even though your English wasn't particularly good at that time.
Not at all, yes.
You showed up. You showed up every week.
Yes.
You were engaged in it. You were interested in learning. And I think it's this attitude that has got you friends in Luxembourg and got you more integrated in Luxembourg. I mean, it's all down to you. And also, you said you started to volunteer with other refugees to help them. And one thing I remember doing is coming to the University of Luxembourg and hearing you speak on behalf of other refugees, people in Afghanistan. So I suppose for me that links with, you always wanted to do something in Afghanistan. You always wanted to be somebody, not just to be somebody, but to do good.
Yes.
And now you're transferring that to doing that in Luxembourg still for your people. So how did you help the refugees in Luxembourg?
It was in 2016 that I realized that many refugees are complaining about many things, and they don't know, or they don't want to integrate with the society. And then I thought, okay, let's do something. And then we have decided to register an association here in Luxembourg, and by the association we have connected to many other associations, like connect Afghanistan community with Arabic community, with Iranians, and then finally with some Italians. Yes, we did some great job there. And then with another association, we have got a project from Mateneen. Almost 400 refugees. We did this workshop for a year and a half. How to have a peaceful mind and non-violence. How to be peaceful with yourself, with your friend, with your wife, with your children, with your husband, and this is what we have done. I'm so happy about it and be proud of it.
So how did you get to where you are today? Because you're running a money exchange, money transfer organization, you're funding yourself. So how did that come about?
As I was always engaged to learning new things, and it was not easy to end up here. I tried to open a restaurant. It was not easy at all to have all the documents and places. So wherever I was engaging for a place to rent, there was many locals engaged, and the priority was always a local, not a refugee. So I've really tried hard to get a place, and then, but as soon as we get and started our business, the COVID came, and unfortunately we had to stop that, and then now we are doing money transfer business, and it's good.
And what's the name of it?
Bamyan money transfer.
And Bamyan is a place in Afghanistan.
Yes, Bamyan is a very famous place in Afghanistan, which the background is so that we have the great Buddha status there. The Taliban destroyed some parts of it, but it shows the history that how long we have been in Afghanistan and existing. So as now, or even in the past, the government and now the Taliban, they blame that Hazaras, which I belong to this minority, people from Afghanistan, they blame that these people, Hazaras, are not from Afghanistan. So this is what shows that we are originally from there. We have built something there for thousands of years ago, and it means a lot to me that I have to do something for my identity and for my history as much as I can, even for one people. That's why I chose the name of my company, Bamyan, that we have to be alive, we have to be in the history, in the mind, that we are not refugees in Afghanistan. It's the reason that I chose the name.
Thank you. You were not refugees in Afghanistan, you belonged there. What are the things that you would like, that you've learned along the way, that you would like people to take away?
Yes, 3 points: that always learn new things and share with your friends, with your networks, and never give up, try hard. Always the end of things are good, unless when it's not good, it's not the end. So try hard to get the yes.
I often quote that. I think it's a Chinese proverb, is it? Everything's all right in the end, and if it's not all right, it's not the end.
Yeah, it's not the end. Yeah.
So the first one was, when you learn new things, make sure you learn new things and share it with others, which very much is John Maxwell around, be a river, not a reservoir. The second one, never give up. And from your story, there's lots of examples you gave. And what's the third one?
Yeah, stay loyal and be on your words that you say. So it's also a personal branding, and someone knows you. You have to be a trusty person.
So stay true to your word. This is about personal branding and loyalty. And I know that your story will touch many people about you saying to your girlfriend, I've got to go, but no matter where I am in the world, you will join me. So there's the loyalty, your own personal brand.
Yeah, that's the loyalty.
Thank you so much. I thought that this conversation would be special. I'm quite emotional about it, actually. I thought that this conversation would be special. We were talking earlier about the fact that you'd written this story. You've written everything a few years ago, but your story is in Persian and it needs to be translated. So if anybody's listening and would be interested in getting this story translated so that we can share it to the world, then I'm sure that Jawid would be very grateful to hear from you. I'll put some links. Thank you so much for coming on the Leadership Woman podcast. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. It was a great pleasure. And I hope I shared a good story.
You shared a good story which will inspire many people. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.